Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Best in Show Books. I'm Shelby.
I'm Gina.
We are booksellers here at Naughty Dog Books, an independent bookstore in Nashville, Indiana. And today is Halloween.
Woohoo!
Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween!
And so for today's episode, we are doing our first Harry Potter book reading recap. We are going over Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. We announced a reading schedule a while back, and we know that a lot of you have been reading along with us. So today is the day where we are finally going to break it down.
Yes, I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
This was fun. This was a fun reread.
And I feel like this season was really good for it. I know a lot of people think Harry Potter is a Christmas story, like a winter story, and I get that, especially the first one.
I get that.
But I really enjoyed reading it in fall.
No, I think it's a good fall. I think all of them will be good fall reads. Mm-hmm. So I know it's going to carry us through the winter, but I think it'll be good to have those dark and cold. I think of the castle being, dreary and needing a fire and through all of the books, no matter what the season in the book.
It's definitely fire season. We have a fireplace here at the store in the very back. We actually tried to film an episode there, and it was like a dungeon. It looked very cave-like. So here we are again in front of our familiar shelves.
We had high hopes of atmosphere. It didn't work.
I know. Yeah, you'll just have to come see it for yourself.
Yes. All right, so Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is our first one. But before we get started, I want to say that the store has been extremely busy. Fall break, the leaves are changing. This is the season for us to be really busy. And a lot of you have come to visit. And we want to say thank you for stopping in and making this part of your fall journey. We've appreciated that. I'm sure town appreciated that, but we really enjoy seeing you guys in person. So thank you.
Yeah.
We were going to say hi to everybody individually, but we had so many of you.
True.
We didn't want to leave anybody out. So thanks.
Yeah.
If you were here.
Yes, yeah. Or if you missed us, because there were some people who left notes.
Yes.
And I was so disappointed in that.
So here we go. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. So this was fun. I loved how this book opened. Mm-hmm. I loved how it started without Harry as the center point, which was different. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think everybody assumes when you go into these stories, if you hadn't read them, that Harry was going to be right there at the beginning. Yeah. And he is, but he's not. It starts with Dumbledore and the cat.
Right, yeah.
So what do you think of it?
I love this first chapter, and I started reading this before we decided to do it as a read-along, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so good. And I read it with my children, this whole first book for the first time, and they were both like, Harry's not even in the first chapter. And true, but not true. Yeah. But I really liked that, and I felt like it did a good job setting the world and the scene, and it's very mysterious if you don't know what happened. And then Hagrid comes and brings this little baby and drops it on the doorstep, and then we find out that this little lightning bolt scar on his forehead, the baby Harry just recently got because of the Dark Wizard Voldemort, who killed his parents and tried to kill Harry, but for some reason could not. It's just so good.
It is good, and I love that the lights were coming on down the street.
Yeah, he's got
the flick, and I love the telling of who Harry is and who his parents are through the wizards, getting their perspective of how important their family was and who the name we shall not say, Voldemort. I just thought that whole chapter was just setting it up perfectly. Well written.
In the first chapter, they say it's better that he goes here, with his real family. Yeah. What do you think? Do you think Harry would have been better off in the wizarding world? Because what if he had been with a family who maybe didn't make a big deal and kind of let him live in anonymity and were nice to him,
This was kind of like a fairy tale setting up. Mm-hmm. There's always that tragedy that starts the fairy tale that sets the center character up for the adventure that we're going to watch. So I feel like he needed to lose his parents, and he needed not to be like Cinderella, needed not to be in comfort and taken care of. Because if he'd been in the wizarding world, would he have been like, I'm Harry Potter? Right. But with him being in the Muggle world and being mistreated, I mean, he was mistreated, for sure. That he accepted humbly. He was excited for it and unsure of it and ready to learn versus being like, I'm it.
That's true, because I think, I don't know. I hate to say he should have been in the Muggle world because they were so terrible to him, and we'll talk about that in later chapters. But I think him being with the Dursleys and being treated like dirt, you know, really built the humility and selflessness that we see him exhibit throughout the rest of the book.
And I think we have to see Rowling did a great job. We have to see that in our own lives, that, you know, struggles and things that happen to us should be learning experiences, not that, oh, poor woe is me. So I think that was a good thing for the kids to see, that he instead of being like, oh, poor me, he learned to be humble. He learned to be kind, and he accepted the good things that then were handed to him in a different way than somebody who'd been the silver spoon kid. So
true. Yeah.
Already life lessons in the story, right? Fast forward, and Harry is the cupboard, the bed, the small little room under the stairs. So we just recently put a pantry in under the stairs in our house, and I thought of Harry the whole time I'm putting canned goods up. I'm like,
oh yeah,
he would have just been in this tiny little room that I have to duck down in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
And the movie does a really good job, like. You see him like cramped in there, and he's got like his little toys, you know. Yeah,
like in that little shelf right above his head. And when, you know, Dudley comes down the stairs and bangs,
and
the dust
just
falls
jumps up and down. Yeah.
So I feel like that it sets us up really well for what Harry is experiencing at home, and having no clue of his to be reality and what he should be. So I don't like any of the Dursleys. No. None of them. Petunia, Vernon, Dudley, all horrible.
And then when it's Dudley's birthday, and they're like, oh gosh, like the babysitter canceled. Fine, we'll just take Harry with us. I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible.
I know.
And so he goes to the zoo, and there is a boa constrictor, I believe, behind the glass. And Harry is kind of like communicating with it. I love that scene. Yeah. And then the glass disappears, and the boa constrictor like leaves and is kind of like talking to Harry. That's something, because I jumped ahead, I'm on book 2 right now, that really comes into play in book 2.
Okay.
So that will come back around if this is your first time reading the series.
Okay.
So that, and I like how Harry he's not doing like wizardry or anything like that, but he is able to make some things happen. Like it talked about this incident with the snake, and then wasn't he like trying to run away from some bullies at school,
and ran really fast,
and his hair, like he was able to
every
make it grow back.
Every time they cut it, it grows back to cover the scar. So, and that's one of the things Hagrid asked him when he's like, how did you not know that you could do these things? And he's like, well, and the uncle always tells him magic doesn't exist. Magic doesn't exist. So I mean, why would you think you're magic? I mean, you have no reason to believe that. So,
and he's got no inkling of magic, maybe until these letters start coming.
Yes.
And I love that. I love when the letter comes to Harry Potter addressed to the cupboard under the stairs. And
the smallest room.
and then they, like Vernon and Petunia, his aunt and uncle, are like, oh my gosh, maybe they're watching us. So they're like, you can have Dudley's spare bedroom. So then they're like smallest bedroom on the envelopes, and these letters just keep coming and coming. And then Vernon takes him away, and he tries to go on like this little island, you know, with rocky outcropping, and cannot escape. And then finally we meet Hagrid, who comes like at midnight and like bangs on the door of Harry's birthday.
The door falls.
Yes. And so then that's when Harry realizes he's a wizard. And after that, I mean, it's like, to Hogwarts we go. It is like zooming along there.
But we have to remember the tail.
Yeah,
when Dudley gets the tail, the pigtail.
New acquisition.
Because, hey, he deserved that.
Yeah, he did.
He totally deserved that. That part, I just loved. It was like a little bit of payback. Just a little bit of payback for Dudley.
With Hagrid's umbrella.
Yeah.
I love that it's not a wand, it's an umbrella.
Because he's not allowed to do magic.
Yeah.
But Hagrid is amazing. There's something about the size of Hagrid and his gentleness that makes him so endearing, and the fact that he's so caught off guard that Harry knows nothing about his background and who he is. You're kind of like, Hagrid's like, how do you not know? And I loved Hagrid. I was excited that Hagrid is the one that takes Harry on the journey to the next step. I feel like he's a protector, and he cares. And
he does, very much so.
Yeah.
He's he's just a very compassionate figure throughout the whole series. And I think that it is purposeful, you know, an intentional drawing of his character in contrast to his massive, like he's super tall, he's super hairy. He kind of reminds me of the ghost or the spirit from A Christmas Carol.
Oh, yes.
The second one.
Yes. Yeah. Christmas present.
But no food, you know, less food.
No drink of milk of human kindness.
Yeah, I don't know.
When Harry is taken to London and he's first walking around with Hagrid, I mean, I can only imagine what everybody around is like. Hagrid.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
this giant. Like, who is this? Do you think people in the Muggle world, when they're in London, do you think they had any inkling of who Harry was?
Well,
Or
I don't
who
know.
Hagrid is? Like, do you think they know that there's that wizardy world that maybe once in a while appears in theirs?
Supposedly not, although I think later on in the series, in the beginning of the second book, they kind of discuss that.
Okay.
But I mean, how are you walking through, like, I have been to London, to any like very crowded like metropolitan city, and you see somebody who's like 10 feet tall and like, I don't know, 8 feet across. How are you not like, this person is not of this world?
Yeah, I mean that the whole, you can't say like, oh, he's a basketball player, because that's not even the concept. I mean,
he's three basketball players.
Yeah, So I just can't even imagine that. And so they're drawing attention to themselves, and then when they get to Diagon Alley, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine Harry's like, just hitting the floor.
Yeah, and then to go into Gringotts, and
Yes.
Harry has had no money ever for anything. And the Dursleys give him nothing, and then he has
down everything, and
he has his own vault full of wizarding gold. But then Hagrid is like, well, we have like one other place to go, and so they go to another vault, and he picks up a very small package, a parcel, if you will.
I'm envisioning that in his big old hand, like his big
Right.
paw, that little tiny parcel.
And he pockets it, which comes into play later. And I love the Diagon Alley sequence, because my favorite part is when he goes to Ollivander's and gets his wand. I love that. Like, the foreshadowing there is just astounding.
Yes. And when he tells him, just give it a little wiggle, like, try this wand out. Just that the wand chooses you. I mean, that's almost like the sword and the stone. Like, you just know that it's the right one for the right person. Like, but all those boxes, and I just can't even imagine.
And he goes and he tries like several wands before Ollivander's like, and he pulls the one, and it is the one, like, it, Harry. Yeah, I can envision it in the movie, but I don't remember what they do in the book. But in the movie, it's like, like blows air back, and there's like a glow. And then he says, it's curious that this is the one that chose you, because its brother gave you that scar. I'm always like, bum, bum, bum.
And it was a phoenix feather, right? I think, which the phoenix rises from the ashes. Like, that's the bird that comes out of, so, I mean, the whole...
Which comes into play later in the series.
So, like, the phoenix, the wand chooses you, the brother's the one that gave you the scar. Like, there's a whole lot in that one little scene of a wand.
Yeah. We really don't meet the rest of the characters until Harry ends up being dropped back off with the Dursleys, and then eventually Uncle Vernon's like, okay, well, it's time for you to go, and drops him. And he's like, my ticket says platform 9 3/4, and Uncle Vernon's like, that's not real. Bye. And leaves.
So
it's so anxiety inducing.
I feel so sorry for this kid, and I just want to shake Vernon. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, how can you be so cruel? I mean, that's just cruel.
And luckily Harry meets the Weasleys, who are very kind, and they show him how to run through the platform with all their things. And then on the train, Harry becomes better friends with Ron. We see Hermione, and she is trying to help Neville find his toad, Trevor. So that's where Harry kind of learns more about Hogwarts, especially from like kids his own age. You know, like an adult can tell you, but to hear it from somebody your own age is way different, I think.
And the fact that, he's had nothing, and he sees Ron, who, this almost made me cry. The fact that Harry had nothing, got all that gold, and when the trolley comes around with all the goodies and the treats, and Ron's like, no, I've got my stuff from home, like
my stinky sandwich.
And Harry's like, we'll take one of everything, and I'm going to share. Like, this is I thought the heart that he has, the person that he is, really shines in that one little scene. Like, I have been given all of this money, and I could hoard it, and I could have everything I've ever wanted and keep it to myself, but no, I'm going to share.
So after they get off the Hogwarts Express, then they take the boats. They don't walk to Hogwarts. They take the boats.
I love that.
Yeah. And once they're there, Professor McGonagall, who I love her.
I do too.
She and, Granny from Downton.
I know.
I just love Maggie Smith. So
perfect casting.
Yes. She explains that the students will then be sorted into houses, 4 houses: Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Slytherin, and Ravenclaw.
Yes.
According to their personal traits. And in order to do that, they have to sit beneath the sorting hat. And this is such a fun scene. I love that the sorting hat has like a little rhyme and little ditty and kind of describes like what the houses were.
Yeah.
And so a few weeks ago, we asked you guys what house you think you would be sorted into. And I feel like we pretty much had like a 3-way tie between Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, and Hufflepuff. And we did have some people say that they think they're Slytherin, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
You know, Slytherin gets a bad rap. And even in this scene, I think Slytherin gets a bad rap because you definitely have people like Draco Malfoy, Crabbe and Goyle, who
Snape and,
you know, we already know that they're kind of bullies and they get put into Slytherin. But if you like listen to the Sorting Hat's like song riddle, I mean, Slytherin those are people who are resourceful, they are cunning, they are determined.
There's ambition. I mean, they're not bad qualities.
No.
It's qualities that they use for bad, but they're not bad qualities.
Right.
So.
But then when Harry is told that there's not, I think it's Ron who says it, like, there's not a witch or wizard who was in Slytherin that didn't go bad, Harry tells the hat, please not Slytherin, not Slytherin, not Slytherin.
Not Slytherin.
Yeah.
Like, not Slytherin. And the hat's like, why not?
Yeah. And the hat's like, you could be great. You could be great there. I love that.
Yeah.
I think.
I do too. So why do you think Slytherin would have been good for Harry?
Well, I think it probably could have swung 2 different ways. He could have gone like Draco Malfoy. Yeah. You know, because he's got a real, you know, chip on his shoulder. He's had a lot of bad things happen, and maybe he just wants to be the best and above everyone. Yeah. Not even just the best, but like above everyone else, kind of in a bad way. But I think he also could have just been like, I'm here to prove myself. Yeah. Because I come from nothing. I have had a hard life. So but I feel like in the books, you only ever see like badness out of Slytherin, which I feel like if we're looking in real life, like that's not reflective of people in real life. What did you think about the sorting of the people that we saw? So Neville, Gryffindor. Yes. Ron, Hermione, Harry, Gryffindor.
Yeah. I think they're good qualities for all those kids. And I think through the books and through their journeys, you see those qualities come out. And they needed to be in the same house. They needed to be a family together. They needed that. And I think that was very important. If they had been in separate houses, they would not have been the team that they end up becoming. And so they make each other stronger. That iron sharpens iron. They make each other better, and they grow together. And I love that. I love that. So which house are you in?
I don't know which house I'm in. Really? I feel like every time I take a quiz, it's something different. I know my daughter's a Hufflepuff. My husband is like king of the Hufflepuffs. Yeah, she is like princess of the Hufflepuffs. Yeah. And my son is a Ravenclaw. Ooh. I don't know what I would be. What do you think I would be? We'll go with this. Gina, pick for me.
At one time you said something about Slytherin, and I see that in a little bit, but I don't see that for you. I would say Gryffindor. Okay. I really would. That would be me. But
okay. Well, I'm adopting that. Yeah. You are a Hufflepuff.
I'm a Hufflepuff.
It's intentional. It's intentional.
It was very intentional.
Yeah. I think Hufflepuffs, are cooperative. They are caring. They are devoted. They are loyal. Those are all qualities that describe you.
Motherly.
Motherly. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I think in the sorting, like you said, it is important that they were all in the same house because the stories just would not have worked. No. And I honestly never really thought about that. However, I don't think they were accurately sorted. Okay. I think if we look at their overarching characteristics, and maybe some of this will be more evident, and I reserve the right to change my opinion as the series goes on.
This is true.
But I feel like Harry is a Gryffindor. I think that was good. Yeah. I think Ron is a Slytherin.
I can see that.
But not because like he's so like dedicated and like no, I think Ron's kind of selfish.
The ambition.
And yeah, he's got kind of the bad qualities associated with Slytherin. Yeah. I think he can be a little lazy sometimes. Yeah. He thinks of himself first and can be kind of reckless.
I think that's the younger brother of all of those boys that have been so they've all had something that made them the head boy or the head of the Quidditch or the dragons. I think he thought he had something to prove.
Yeah,
greater.
definitely.
So I can see why Slytherin for him for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I think Hermione also seems like a Ravenclaw, just because she is so studious. She always goes books first, you know, as opposed to like, let's figure this out together. And I like Hermione, so I'm not saying anything bad about that. But I feel like she might be more of a Ravenclaw. However, at this point in the books, we haven't really met a Ravenclaw.
This is true. This is true.
And gotten to know them.
Slytherin and Gryffindor seem to be the two dominant at this book. Mm-hmm. So, do you think Neville would have been a Hufflepuff?
No.
Who do you?
I will die on this hill. Neville is a Gryffindor. I will die on this hill. Okay. And I can't say too much without giving anything away.
She's ahead.
Yeah. Well, and this is a reread for me, and it's not for you. Well, the first few
Just the first two.
Yeah. So Neville is a Gryffindor.
Okay. I like Neville. Mm-hmm. I feel bad for Neville at the beginning of this. Like, I feel like he's trying so hard, and he's just not quite there. They give him a hard time, but he's so loyal. Mm-hmm. He's so loyal to the rules.
I can see the Hufflepuff in that.
Yes, and I think that's why I asked that. He's so loyal to his friends, but he's also very loyal to the rules. He's like right and wrong. There's no gray. It's just, I mean, we're down the line. What are you? If you didn't tell us before, let us know. And what do you think about these characters?
Yeah.
Were they sorted correctly? So once they get sorted and they find out that the houses have a cup and that they want to win, and there's points for Quidditch, there's points for doing good, there's points for doing things well, but they also get points taken away for bad attitudes, breaking the rules, whatnot. So they know the things that they want to accomplish to make Gryffindor the winner. So they're in a class and they are trying to learn to fly. Yeah. And Neville has gotten a remembrall. Mm-hmm. And
bless his heart.
Yes. And he doesn't do so well in broom class and ends up falling and breaking his arm. So when they take him to the infirmary, the hospital, Draco, bless his heart, he tries to steal the remembrall. But he and Harry are arguing over it, and he tosses it. And Harry just gets mad. He just jumps on that broom and bam, he catches it. Mm-hmm. Who knew? He's amazing on a broom. Yeah. No lessons required. Mm-hmm. And then who sees him?
Oh, I love that. I love that.
I know.
And I think it was good in the book, and it's like even better in the movie seeing Maggie Smith do it, where she's like, Potter, and she like storms him, and you know he's thinking, I'm expelled, like I'm done for.
I'm out.
And then
they were told not to get on their brooms. Mm-hmm. They were told to stay on the ground, and they didn't listen.
And she goes and gets him an exception.
Yes.
Because first years are not allowed to play Quidditch, and so he becomes not just like a regular player. He is the Seeker. First year, very important position, like to fly and get the snitch. So that's a fun little bit of Wizarding World that J.K. Rowling just invented. That's
which
crazy.
Is really cool.
Inventing a sport seems like very complicated. Like normal sports exist, and those feel complicated to me to understand sometimes. So I can't imagine being like, but it's explained enough.
Rules. I mean, like, it's amazing.
It's explained enough to be like, oh, well, I understand that. I get how they got that point, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a brilliant piece of writing, first of all. But then you've got the foretelling of Harry's dad was a Seeker. And how does that play out toward the end of the book, that he's a Seeker? Like, that's very important at the end of this book.
Yes, yeah.
So I love that was an important moment that seemed like he's just going to get the spot on a sporting team. Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah. And about this time, they see in the newspaper that there has been a break-in at Gringotts, and Harry starts kind of piecing some things together.
Because he remembers Hagrid got this small parcel, and it was the same day as his birthday, the break-in was. Yep. So he's like, what kind of message, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. So put that in your hat and see what happens here in a minute. All right, so then we moving on, and there is a situation where is it Halloween when they're enjoying the troll? Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden Quirrell, which we forgot about Quirrell.
Yeah, Quirrell, the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher,
who's
this stammering little nervous guy,
who's the dark arts teacher.
Potter. Like that's how he says it, and
and he's supposed to be this great teacher of dark arts, but he seems like he's just weak and
afraid of his own shadow.
Yes. So he comes running into the hall. There's a troll on the loose. There's a troll.
And then he's
on
like,
the loose. And he faints.
Yeah.
And so everybody is told to chill and calmly go back to their houses. But they realize that Hermione is missing. She has been in the bathroom crying because they hurt her feelings earlier in the day, and she was hiding from them. They weren't the nicest to her.
They were flat out mean to her, I feel like.
And especially Ron. Ron was just, maybe he is Slytherin.
I don't like Ron. I
can see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
So even though she's a little studious and maybe shows her smarts, I don't think she was ever truly unkind, because there were a couple of times that she used it to help or try to teach them. So Ron was really mean to her. So she's hiding in the bathroom, and Ron and Harry are like, we can't just leave her with this troll roaming the world.
Probably driven by Harry, not driven by Ron.
This is true. Harry is the one that's like, let's go. And Ron's like, whatever, we're going to go.
Yeah.
So the troll is disgusting.
Yeah.
And Hermione is in the bathroom, and the troll finds her in the bathroom and is getting ready to terrorize her.
And Harry and Ron come in, and when the whole thing is over, the troll has a wand up its nose. Yeah, and
troll boogies.
and so the teachers come in and they're like, "Oh my gosh, what happened?" And Hermione kind of falls on the sword and is like, "It was my fault." And then that's the incident that kind of bonds them together. And
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's when they think they mesh and they realize they have each other's back. They are going to stand up for each other. They're going to protect each other, and that's their little world is starting to meld together as the trio. But they end up getting in trouble, but they also get points for protecting. You can't break the rules, but you
did, and that's kind of okay.
Yeah, you did, but yeah. They have this big Quidditch match that's coming up, and Harry is going to be, Slytherin and Gryffindor are going to be in it. So he's worried about it. So they're at this match, and Harry's on his broom, and the match is, of course, being played dirty because Gryffindor plays dirty. They're bumping and Slytherin, sorry. Yeah. They're bumping around, and they're knocking people off their brooms, and Harry's watching for the Snitch. I can't think of Snitch. Snitch doesn't sound nice. I think I wanted something prettier for the gold ball.
I can understand
Snitch. And so Hermione and Ron are in the stands, and they realize that Harry's not having a good time with his broom. Something's going on, and with their binoculars, they spy Snape. And he's mouthing. And they think he is doing a spell on Harry to knock him off the broom. So Hermione takes it upon herself.
And goes and sets Snape's robes on fire down at the bottom. And then she gets it back in a little jar. Yeah. The fire. But I love this scene knowing what was coming. I remembered how it was going to end up. But my kids were like, Snape is the worst. Snape is terrible. And I'm like, yes. Oh, okay.
So were you tricked by Snape? We'd like to know. Up to this point, do you think Snape is bad? Or do you have your suspicions that maybe he may not be as bad?
His character is, we could do a whole episode on his character, but I was talking to my husband about this, and we were like, I get that Snape, if we go to we've all read the book at this point, so let's just, I'm going to jump to the end of the episode and then come back. It's not him. It's not Snape. Right. But he didn't have to be so mean. Yeah. He, I get it if you're not a warm and fuzzy person. Snape, we know.
Is not warm and fuzzy.
Is not warm and fuzzy and has a reason to not like Harry. Right. For whatever kind of petty reason an adult cannot like a kid. Yeah. But you don't need to be so nasty. And he does single Harry out, so he does himself no favors.
So it's understandable why the kids, and especially Harry, thinks he's being targeted by Snape. And so the kids could have trusted him or could have went to him with suspicions or concerns, but because they did not trust him for the reasons the way that he treated them, he didn't set himself up to be an ally. He set himself up to be the assumed bad guy. So at this point, once the match is over, because of course Harry wins because he finds the snitch. Of course he does. The kids have learned about somebody called Nicholas Flamel at this point as well.
But they hear the name, but they don't know who it is. So this is their mission to figure out, about Nicholas Flamel. And they hear that name kind of in conjunction with the Sorcerer's Stone. And it's over Christmas break that Hermione gives Harry and Ron the assignment to do some research while she's gone.
Yeah.
And this was sweet. You know, Harry has never had a Christmas, and he gets the jumper from Mrs. Weasley.
I thought that was the sweetest thing in the world that she made him a jumper.
So sweet. And so Harry also receives another gift, an anonymous gift during Christmas break, the Cloak of Invisibility, which will factor in very largely at the end of the entire series.
Yes.
And so it's very mysterious. So he takes it, and he is kind of out looking for, he's researching like
to the restricted area.
And Filch is out, of course, the hall monitor. And in his attempt to escape Filch, he's like running, and he goes into a room. And in this room, he sees a mirror.
Yes.
And this may be one of my favorite scenes.
Oh, absolutely.
In this book, maybe the series. I don't know. I'll have to come back to this.
We'll get back to you on that one. But so far.
Having read them all. And this is also one of J.K. Rowling's favorite scenes. Harry looks into this very large mirror and sees not gold, not himself as head boy, not himself as, I don't know, headmaster at Hogwarts one day, but his family. And the fact that he just sits there like for hours and just watches them, it's like,
it's so heartbreaking because the one thing that he wants the most is his mom and dad. He wants that family. He wants that love. He wants to know that they're there. And he feels the hand on his shoulder.
Yeah. And all the other people who look like him, right?
Yes,
isn't that what he says?
All the family that's from the past just starts filling in behind his mom and dad. And I think, oh my, you know, to be so abandoned in your life at 11 years old, to think that nobody has ever been there for you, and to see that in the mirror, it would be really hard to leave. I understand why he didn't want to leave. Like, if I walk away, is that
what if I don't see him again?
Yeah, what if they're never there again? So then he goes and gets Ron finally, and like, you've got to see this. I mean, he's
family.
So excited his family's there. Ron does not see his family.
Leading me to think maybe Ron has some more Slytherin qualities. Ron sees himself as head boy. He's like captain of the Quidditch team, which are not bad qualities in and of themselves. But, you know, compared to Harry, who's seeing his family, it's like, oh. And then they leave, and Harry keeps going back. And at one point he goes back, and Dumbledore is there.
Yes.
And I love this conversation.
It's a beautiful scene.
Between him and Dumbledore. And like the writing and just the themes and the messages conveyed behind this scene, in addition to many others. I feel like this is a lot for a children's book.
It is.
And their messages, exactly, that children, you know, should like hear, are good for them to hear, but not like, you know, today's books that don't always have, you know, deep meanings. But I love when Hermione, so many people with like
the H's.
Long names, you know, Dumbledore, I actually mean Dumbledore. When Dumbledore tells Harry, he says, it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live. That like cracks me open.
Yeah, it really does. So I watched the first movie last night again, and I was getting ready to watch it. My husband was getting ready to go to bed. He gets up at the blooming crack of dawn. And so he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm watching Harry Potter. And he's like, you know, I don't think I've ever seen this. It's like, really? And he goes, yeah. And he's not a reader, so I knew he hadn't read the books. But he's like, that just never appealed to me. I started rambling, and he's like, oh my, here we go. But I was like, I grew up with Harry Potter coming out when there was a lot of controversy in our Christian world of they can't read these books. So when I finally read them, and now I've read them a couple of times, I see a lot of what C.S. Lewis did with Narnia, what Tolkien did with Lord of the Rings, the good and the bad in the world of fantasy and magic, bringing morals and lessons and things that kids need to hear and see in a way that's outside the reality, but teaching them lessons in a way. I think it's beautifully done. I appreciated a lot of the way she wrote, and this scene is one of the best versions of that to me.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And I love that there is something, for me, especially poignant when Dumbledore tells Harry, please don't look for it.
Yeah.
And like, there's just something about that he's like, he has warned him that, you know, good people can waste away in front of this. And he's like, you could probably find it if you wanted to. Like, again, but I'm asking you not to. And I think in addition to the series and this book's like stark battle between good and evil, you also have a lot of personal like inner conflicts that
we think about if you dwell on the past, or if your hurts, your disappointments, or you set your dreams up and that's all you focus on, you miss the present, you miss the gifts that are right in front of you because you're dwelling on things that can't be or are gone. And so I think there's a lot of good messages in that scene with Dumbledore and the mirror, and it was amazing to me.
And this is not so much a fun fact because you probably already know, but I love that Mirror of Erised is desire, spelled backwards, and then there's the message across the top of the mirror that is also like mirrored. It's so clever. So darn clever.
Her writing is fantastic. So yes, I agree. So the kids do actually end up finding out who Nicholas Flamel is. Of course, it's Hermione and her brilliance of books. Figure. And they're like, in my light reading, and they're like, the book's like, massive. They're like, light reading. But Nicholas Flamel was actually a partner friend of Dumbledore at some point, and he creates this Sorcerer's Stone. And the Sorcerer's Stone, it turns any metal into gold, which is kind of cool. And then they also, if there's somehow there's a liquid or a potion that comes out of it, and they drink it,
an elixir
that it's eternal. Like you get to live forever. So that's Nicholas Flamel and his creation. But you have a fun fact about Nicholas Flamel.
I cannot believe maybe did you know?
I did
this?
not.
Okay.
I did not.
Maybe you already know this, but Nicholas Flamel was a real person, and the person who told me this was my Ravenclaw 7-year-old. He came out one night late after he was supposed to be asleep. He was like, "Did you know Nicholas Flamel was a real person?" And I said, "No." And I kind of like,
no, he's not.
You know, like late at night, I'm like, no, I didn't know that. But he brings out this book, and it's like Lost Mysteries. And my son is huge into like shipwrecks and, you know, all these kinds of mysteries of time, including Bigfoot, you know, and UFOs and things like that. So he was like, yeah, he's in my book. And he opens it up, and sure enough, Nicholas Flamel was a real like alchemist and, you know, scientist. And it was rumored that he was like working on trying to find this source of eternal life. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. So
it was really cool that she used that like that little piece of history was drawn in there. Again, another piece of brilliance from her to draw the kids in. Because if you're like me, when you read historical fiction, you got to go research the stuff that you learn about. So these kids, it gives them one more little tidbit that they can go, okay, was this real? Dragons are real, just in case you're asking.
And my son walked to bed like,
like oh, I did that.
I taught something.
So I think that's really cool that Nicholas Flamel is real. So the Sorcerer's Stone is what they now assume is being hidden in the trapdoor with Fluffy, the three-headed dog, sitting on top. So they have a lot of questions, and they decide they need to ask Hagrid. Of course they need to ask Hagrid. Hagrid seems to know everything.
He somehow seems to know everything, but also seems to be maybe like the dumbest person on staff. And I think they know that because they're kind of like, oh, Hagrid.
We can go have a chat and he'll tell us something.
Yeah, they're like, your fruitcake is so good. Like cracking their teeth on it.
Who likes fruitcake anyway, right?
Yeah.
So while they're having tea with Hagrid, there's also a lovely little egg sitting on the table.
Yes.
And it ends up being a dragon when it hatches. Norbert.
Hagrid's his mom.
Yeah, Hagrid's his mom. Like, who doesn't name a dragon Norbert?
That was so sweet. Hagrid.
Yeah, it really was. But then they also get the story of where the dragon egg came from. So at some point, he's playing poker or playing cards or a game or something, and he bets to get the egg. But in the process, gets a little tipsy and tells the stranger with the dragon egg,
this mysterious, like hooded, stranger.
Who do we think this is? Hint, hint. But he tells him how to get past Fluffy. That Fluffy's mine, and if you just play him some music, he's out like a light, goes to sleep, and they're like, I probably shouldn't have said that. The kids are like, no, that's great, and then they take off.
They're like,
they run off, and they're gonna tell Dumbledore, but they get caught by Draco Malfoy, and he tells McGonagall, and they get detention. And their detention is a little scary.
And also Draco gets detention.
Which
So.
I loved. That she's like, you had good intentions, but you were out too, and you weren't supposed to be. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, you know, she was like, when she did that.
Yeah. And he was like, wait. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
So they get detention, and they, along with Snape and Hagrid, are told that they have to go to the Forbidden Forest, which they've been told all along. No student is allowed in there, period. It's dangerous. So they're freaking out. Of course, it's at night. I mean, hello. Yeah. When else would you go to the Forbidden Forest?
They couldn't do it during like the morning when the sun is up and shining.
So when they get there, they are looking for whoever is hurting and harming and killing the unicorns. Yeah. Which is just devastating to me. It's a unicorn, people. Come on. Yeah. Which is a whole other scene that's just, I don't know. There's a lot of emotion that goes into that.
And you could probably draw some symbolism there from,
I agree.
The starkness of good and evil.
Yeah.
But they split up, you know, Hagrid's there with Fang, which in the movies has like the cutest dog on the planet. Yeah. He's so cute. And they split up and they're like, shoot your wand in the air if there's sparks. And so they end up seeing this hooded creature, like, you know, feeding on a unicorn. And it's very spooky and scary. Yeah. And the thing like floats away. Yeah. So something really at this point in time in the story is really escalating, and it gets super dark. Like at this point, it was like, it's a turn. Yeah, it's a real turning point in the story. Yeah.
So once the kids have learned that the unicorn has a special meaning, that something is drinking the blood because that is like a half-life. It extends his life, but not forever. Yeah. Like it's just an extension. So they start putting some 2 and 2s together that it's probably whom we shall not speak the name. Voldemort. But then the kids know that Fluffy's important, the trapdoor's important, and this it's the ball. The Sorcerer's Stone.
Oh, sorry. The ball.
Sorry. Ball. Got the snitch, the ball, the Sorcerer's Stone. Yeah, the Sorcerer's Stone is very important, and they think that Voldemort is after the Sorcerer's Stone. They finally figured out why this is being hunted. So the kids...
They think it's Snape.
Yes, they still think it's Snape. Yeah. They still think it's Snape. And so the kids now are going to go tell Dumbledore everything they know. And he's away. He's been called away to London.
Convenient.
Mysteriously called away to London. So the kids are like, we can't wait. We've got to get the Sorcerer's Stone ourselves before Snape does. And
they bust out. Yes. They leave the Gryffindor common room. Yeah. And who is there but Neville?
Of course,
to say... Neville. Don't go. You should not go. This is wrong. And they're like, I'm really sorry to do this, Neville. And Hermione, who remembers her homework and like does her schoolwork, you know, like petrifies him. And so he cannot move. That's important. I didn't want to gloss over that.
No, that's true. And it is important. And I like the fact that it's the right and wrong. He just, he sees the black and white. It's right and wrong. He doesn't care what their intention is for leaving. He's like, you can't. You're not allowed. Don't do it. And he's not just standing up for the rules. He's also thinks he's protecting them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I give Neville a lot of credit in that scene. And poor Hermione, she has to be like, I like you, but...
Yeah.
Now you're a piece of wood. Fall over. Just stay there. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
So there is a lot when the kids come to find Fluffy. Fluffy's already asleep. And they hear the harp music, and they realize somebody's a step or two ahead of them. So they end up in the trapdoor, and there's a lot that they have to go through. This little journey to get to the Sorcerer's Stone is not easy.
No. There's multi-layered.
Plants that try to kill them.
Yep. Devil's Snare.
There's bats.
Bats, the keys on
the
the
keys.
Wings.
Yeah. Like they look like bats, or the keys on the wings.
Like
yeah. So when they're in the Devil's Snare, Hermione uses her gifts and skills as remembering the plant, the herbology that she was in, tells them how to get out of that. When they get to the keys that are flying, you've got one key that they have to find in the midst of all these other keys to unlock this door. There you have the seeker. And that becomes a big deal for them. And then the next step is the massive game of chess. And all along through the book, you've had Ron telling the kids how to play chess and teaching them, and he's kind of a master at it. Like that's been his strong suit, is this chess game. So then he leads that. I love that all of these challenges drew on each of their strengths, and they had to work together. So
yeah, And I will say the wizard chess scene is probably the one most quoted in my home,
Oh.
where we are, it's ridiculous, but because
No.
Ron is, when he's getting all hot and bothered at the end, he's like, it has to be you, and he's like,
Yeah.
not me, not Hermione,
Yeah.
you, and we all say,
I
say
love
that.
I love it.
And it kind of just doesn't matter when we say it, we just say it, but because it's like a high drama moment, with Ron, and he's like charging forward on the pieces. But
it is.
I think it is. I like how she did that. She split it up kind of into different trials, but in the end, it is only Harry who goes to face Quirrell, and the dramatic unwrapping of his turban, and then you have Voldemort's sitting on the back of his head. That was so weird and
so
creepy.
Weird. And the fact that I'm sure the look of horror on Harry's face with that, but this look of shock when he's like, Quirrell?
Yeah,
what?
True.
Wait. You don't, you're afraid of your shadow. How are you in charge of all of these things? And he's like, yeah, I set the troll loose. Like, I was the one that tried to knock you off your broom. Snape was actually doing a counter spell.
Yeah.
Like, all of these things are starting to unravel. And I'm sure Harry's thinking, whoa.
Yeah.
How did none of us see this?
And even first-time readers, first-time movie watchers, I think J.K. Rowling did a really good job. Like, this was so good. And the way they did it in the movie, because it is more of a visual and auditory thing, like his tone is different, and the way he holds himself. I mean, it was kind of creepy.
He goes from to and it's like, whoa.
It was, yeah.
And so, but that whole unwrapping, and in the movie, and I think in the book it talks about how he sees the head, but in the movie you see the head in the mirror, and Harry is seeing the front of Quirrell, but then he's seeing in the mirror the back side of his head. It's Voldemort, and he's like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like, that's just odd and scary.
And thankfully, moving forward in the movies, they redesigned Voldemort, because I don't like this first iteration of Voldemort. Weird. Not that I'm like, oh, he's looking so great in the later ones, but it's like, that's the one, that's the Voldemort, not this weird
but
one.
he's on to somebody else. He's not like a full on himself.
But so he's got a nose. He doesn't have a nose in the later ones.
He does not.
he's got a nose.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wrapping that up.
Yeah. Like, put the hood back on.
Yeah.
Let's just talk. I don't need to see you. So when Quirrell drags Harry to the mirror and he's like, what do you see? Find the stone.
This was so good. Yes. Tying it back in with the mirror.
And because Harry knows what he's going to see. Harry knows that he's going to see what's true to him, not what Quirrell wants him to see. And so when he looks in that mirror and sees Dumbledore behind, no, he doesn't
it's
see
him,
no,
and he's like
got the
like kind of winking, or like, and he feels it in his pocket.
Yeah, the stone is there, and he looks and he's like, but then he feels it and he's like, oh wait, the stone's actually there. And so then the battle for the stone ensues with Quirrell, thanks to Voldemort's strength,
Yeah.
Which that symbiotic relationship's just creepy.
It is gross. It's a gross thing.
So the fact that every time Quirrell touches him, he burns. I liked that. I liked that he can't touch good. Like, he cannot touch that good.
Yeah.
And so Harry realizes that. And so there's this battle of,
he's like,
like, I'm going to sear your face off. Yeah. But then he ends up hurt. Harry does. And so he wakes, and of course Voldemort and Quirrell are destroyed-ish.
Yeah.
We assume.
Well,
Quirrell's destroyed. Voldemort, we don't know what happens exactly.
But Harry wakes up in the hospital ward, and that's where he has this illuminating conversation with Dumbledore, where Harry's like, he couldn't touch me. And Dumbledore says, yeah, how sweet was this? Dumbledore says, like, when you are loved so intensely and so deeply, like, even when that person is gone, their love still remains like a shield over you. And I was like,
I just, there was something about that. Reading it was amazing twice through, but watching the movie again last night and seeing that face of Dumbledore and the emotion that carried of how important love is and how important family is and the good. There was so much to that was just, I knew what was happening and I cried last night. It was ridiculous.
Very sweet. And then his friends are there and they're all happy.
Yes.
And the thing that made me cry the most in this movie, which I feel like I actually don't think I cried up till this point. But then they're at the end and it's like, oh, big bummer.
Yeah.
Slytherin wins and all the banners are like,
yes.
come down after Harry's better and
Yes.
and everybody's sad. Slytherin wins the House Cup and they're reading off the points and Harry and Dumbledore is like, we have a few last minute points to award. And so Harry gets points, Ron gets points, Hermione gets points, and they still don't have enough to win. And they give them to Neville.
I love it.
I mean, I was
perfect.
like,
it's so perfect.
it's so sweet. And everybody's like, Neville.
Yeah, Neville, but just he gets the glory, but
Yeah.
he also, I think you can see him just swell a little bit
Mhm.
like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
important too.
Yeah.
Like, I matter. And I think that was a poignant scene that even little acts deserve credit, and even little things, or when you stand up for something that's right,
Yeah.
you need to be seen for that and you need to be honored for that. I just loved it. There was a whole lot there.
And then and Dumbledore says like to, Neville Longbottom, because it's hard to stand up for what's right, but he's like, it's even harder to stand up for your friends, stand up
is.
to your friends.
It is.
And I was like, that's right.
And
It's so good.
What a
Gryffindor.
message to the kids in this book.
Yeah.
I mean, as adults, we love it and we know that, but kids, I think, struggle when they know what's right and they're getting peer pressure from their friends to do something and to say, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
That's not right. I think the messages in this book were really well done.
Yeah.
So I need to hear that sometimes too,
Yeah.
because, we adults, we get
Oh, for sure.
peer pressure, if
Yeah.
you will, and it's good to know that it's hard to stand up to your friends, and that's an important thing.
Yeah.
I love this book.
It was great.
I think the second time I read it, because the first time I read it, I did it thinking my son was going to read it. So I read through it to make sure I was ready. Content and making sure he was ready at that age. This time I read it for pleasure, for me. Totally into every scene. I remembered way more details. I really did remember the details. We've laughed at because I read it. We both read it at the beginning of the month, which was not smart on our part.
The beginning of the month, long time.
Yeah. So to have to film, so remembering some of the little tiny details, and that's why I watched the movie last night, was to remind myself. But this book was amazing. Yeah. I'm so glad. So we have to know, what were your thoughts?
Yeah. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did.
Yes.
It was so much more fun. I feel like it was so much richer to talk about together and to be like, what are our viewers going to say?
Yes.
So we would love to know, what was your favorite scene?
Yes.
Who's your favorite character? Keep the conversation rolling.
Yes.
Because we are so looking forward to starting book 2. I already started. That's okay. To our discussion. I told Gina though,
I think this is Hermione.
I told Gina I need to slow down.
Yes.
So I will slow down.
Yeah.
And at the end of November, which we will post the specific date in this caption and then on our YouTube page, we will be discussing the second book, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. So we're going to try and keep it fresh because all these little Easter eggs will come back into play.
And I think that's amazing too, that you don't, now that you've read ahead or you've read all the series, or if you've all read the series, you know what those Easter eggs are. But that is something as I go forward, because I've only read the first 2. So I will be looking. Is that going to come to play later?
Yeah.
Is that going to come to play later? Maybe I'll be Hermione and I'll take notes.
Yeah.
So this was amazing. We enjoyed this so much. We appreciate those of you that have said that you're going to read along with us. And we look forward to hearing and seeing what your comments are from you guys. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you get all the notifications from us every Friday when we drop a new episode. This is Best in Show Books. I'm Gina.
And I'm Shelby.
Have a wizardly fun day.